Well, totally showing the wrong screen. Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. I'm a professional. This is the 17th episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide series. It is Misham, New Cult 22nd. My name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it would be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even grab Dragonlance Media or get $10 by signing up to startplaying.games using my affiliate links in the description below. All right. We are starting right where we picked up on miscellaneous magic items like relics with the Crown of Might. According to tradition, great items of regalia were constructed for special servants of the deities of each alignment when the gods were contending amongst themselves. Who amongst them first conceived the idea is unknown. The champion of each ethic alignment, evil, good, neutrality, was given a crown, an orb, and a scepter. These items have been scattered and lost over the centuries of struggle since they first appeared. The three complete sets bestow great powers, but even merely possession of a crown of might gives a character of the same ethos great benefits. If a character of alignment touches such an item, he or she takes 5 to 30 hit points of damage and must save versus magic or be killed instantly. The alignment of a crown is determined as follows. It's 1 to 20, broken up between evil, good, and neutrality. While being worn, the crown raises its wearer's level of experience by 1 and confers the following additional powers or effects. And of course, because this... Actually, let me just show this to you. Because this is an artifact, it has sort of fill in the blanks, as we mentioned last reading last week. And this actually customizes each item for each individual campaign milieu that you run. So everyone's Dungeon Master's Guide, if you've penciled it in, you have a different version and with different powers of this individual artifact than everyone else, which is kind of cool. All right, so should a character wearing a crown touch an orb of might or a scepter of might of a different ethos, he or she takes damage and must save as noted above. And if the saving throw is successful, one malevolent power from table 4 will affect him or her. However, if the orb or scepter is of the same ethos, the following extra powers and effects are conferred upon the possessor. And there's a whole bunch of second item set and third item set powers. Note, each of these items is so similar in appearance to that other that examination will reveal no difference, and detection magically will not reveal their ethic alignment. Each crown is a slender diadem of gold set with 3 precious stones of great size, so as to bring 50,000 or more gold pieces if openly sold. Hey, S. Temptington, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Julian Roster, thank you. Appreciate seeing you. Corey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. All right, Crystal of the Ebon Flame. The origin of this artifact is entirely unknown, as is its exact whereabouts. It is a beautifully formed diamond-hard mineral the size of a hand. When it's touched, the crystal sends forth rays of light, and a black flame seems to leap and dance in the heart of the jewel. All creatures within 30 feet must save versus magic or be charmed as if by a fire charm spell. The possessor of the crystal may draw upon its powers by gazing at the ebon flame at its center. These powers and effects are all up to interpretation. Hey, Chris, how you doing? All right, Cup and Talisman of Al-Akbar. This pair of holy relics were given by the gods of the Paynims to their most exalted high priest of lawful good alignment in the days following the invoked devastation. It was lost to demi-human raiders and was last rumored to be somewhere in the southeastern portion of the Bandit Kingdoms. The cup is made of hammered gold, chased with silver filigree, and set with 12 great gems of electrum settings. Jewelry value of 75,000 or more gold pieces on the market. It does not radiate magic, but it has the following powers and effects: 4 times 1 and 1 times 3. The talisman is made of hammered platinum, a star of 8 points, chased with gold inlays, and with a small gem tipped each point. The star is hung from a chain of golden electrum set with silver beading, 8 sets of 3 beads each, a jewelry value of 10,000 or more gold pieces. It does not radiate magic either, but has the following powers and effects: 2 times 2 and 1 times 4. If a cleric, druid, paladin, or ranger possesses both, he or she may fill the cup with holy water and immerse the talisman into the fluid to create a potion once per week. The potion will be, based on a roll of 1 to 20, healing, extra healing, poison antidote balm, cure disease salve, remove curse ointment, or raise dead balm. And the possessor gains the following powers or effects from both, 1 of 5 and 1 of 6. Oh, the next one. Here we go. The Eye of Vecna. Seldom is the name of Vecna spoken except in hushed voices, and never within hearing of strangers, for legends say that the phantom of this once supreme lich still roams the material plane. It is certain that when Vecna finally met his doom, one eye and one hand survived. The Eye of Vecna is said to glow in the same manner as that of a feral creature. It appears to be an agate until it is placed in the empty eye socket of a living character. Once pressed in, it instantly and irrevocably grafts itself to the head, and it cannot be removed or harmed without slaying the character. The alignment of the character immediately becomes neutral evil and may never change. The eye bestows both infravision and ultravision to its host and gives the following additional powers and effects: 2-1, 2-2, 1-4, and 1-5. The minor or major powers may be used without fear of harm, but use of the primary power causes a malevolent effect upon the host character. Next is the Hand of Vecna. Oh, yeah. The Arch-Lich Vecna supposedly imbued both his hand and left and his eye, see the foregoing listing, with wondrous and horrible powers, enabling them to persist long after his other remains mouldered away into dust. Eye of Vecna. Tales say that the hand appears to be a mummified extremity, a blackened and shriveled hand, possibly from a burned body. If the wrist portion is pressed against the stump of a forearm, it will instantly graft itself to the limb and become a functioning member with 1800 strength in its grip. No 2-hit or damage bonuses. The hand will eventually turn the alignment of the host character to neutral evil, as explained hereafter. The host character may use any minor power without fear, but as soon as the major power of the hand is used, he or she awakens a spirit of great evil. You, the DM, should then begin an insidious campaign of suggestion and urging towards evil on the character's part. When a primary power is used, the host will instantly become neutral evil, very evil. The hand can be severed from the host at any time before its powers are used with 100% certainty, but each major power use subtracts 1% from the probability, and each use of a primary power makes success 10% less likely. Whenever 100% subtraction has occurred, there is no possibility of removing the hand, and the character will know it. To use any power, the fingers of the hand must be extended, curled, or whatever in different combinations. The powers and effects are 10 times 1, 5 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, and 1 times 6. Remember that nothing short of intervention from the most powerful of gods can alter the effects of Vecna's hand upon its host, and it is urged that even the greatest deities will be loath to attempt to undertake meddling with any host creature, so allow the effects to be irrevocable. Note: devise the combinations of finger-hand positions you have assigned to each power and record them, i.e. fist equals blank, thumb down equals blank, pointing little fingers equal blank, etc. Keep this chart handy and make the host character use the positions to use a power of the hand. Nice. Hey, Soulforge, thanks for tuning in. Chatto, what's up? All right, Heward's mystical organ. Not that one. In the pages of the Fables of Burdock, there is mention of a musical instrument of large size, an organ of such power that the mighty and terrible enchantments possible to cast by playing upon it are only hinted at. Heward's organ has 77 great and small pipes, a console with many keys of black and white beneath 13 ivory stops, and 3 great foot pedals. The bellows, which sends a rush of wind to the pipes, is said to be worked by a conjured and chained air elemental of huge size. Each stop causes the pipes to sound in a different voice, while the keys vary the notes, of course. No one is certain what purpose the foot pedals serve. Despite the ravages of time which have silenced some of its pipes and abuse and neglect which have supposedly made some keys and stops unworkable, the organ can still work mighty magics when properly played. The would-be conjurer must be careful, however, when attempting to work this relic artifact, for pulling the wrong stops can cause the summoning of something undesired, or the casting of the wrong type of spell. If the wrong keys are depressed, or the right ones are not, something called up might be unbound, or the magic might backfire. Similarly, the alignment of the caster or manipulator of the organ might be changed by improper playing. After the powers and effects of the organ have been determined by you, decide which stops and what key sequence combinations will do what. If you are conversant with musical notation, you can write tunes if you like, and make your players actually perform them on a piano or other instrument. Otherwise, pick some appropriate songs and give clues so the player character can hum different ditties, i.e., Fly Me to the Moon, That Old Black Magic, That Old Devil Moon, You Got Me in Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, The Monster Mash, etc. The suggested powers and effects are 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 3 times 3, 7 times 4, 7 times 5, and 3 times 6. Remember that effects can be negated, reversed, changed, etc. by misplaying the organ. Wow, that's crazy. Horn of Change. This ancient artifact exactly resembles any of the more common magical horns, such as the Horn of Blasting, Horn of Bubbles, etc. If it is winded one time, a power from table 1 or an effect from table 3 will occur. If the horn is twice sounded, a power from table 2 or an effect from table 6 will occur. If 3 blasts are given, a power from table 5 or an effect from table 4 will occur. You must determine the probability of a power or effect. 75%/25% is suggested, and then dice for a random result on the appropriate tables. Results which are inappropriate should be ignored. Hey, JCTXC boy. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in, man. Invulnerable Coat of Arnd. A-R-N-D, Arnd. The High Priest Arnd and Tadon, T-D-O-N, Tadon, is said to have been the original possessor of this relic. The coat is a bright and shimmering shirt of fine and almost weightless chain links. It covers the upper arms, torso, and groin of any human-shaped wearer from 3 feet to 8 feet height, and makes the wearer totally invulnerable to physical attacks with respect to covered areas, and gives armor class 5 protection to all other areas. In addition, the coat adds +5 to saving throws as if it were a +5 magic armor, protects its wearer from fire as if it were a ring of fire resistance, and acid, cold, and electrical attacks have no effect upon the wearer. Additionally, the invulnerable Coat of Arnd has the following powers and effects: 3 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. Iron Flask of Tourney, the Merciless. This artifact is reported to be a small and heavy urn, easily carried in a pack or by hand despite its weight. The flask is stoppered with a turnip-shaped plug, engraved and embossed with sigils, glyphs, and runes of power so as to contain the spirit therein. The possessor need but know 3 words to have the flask function properly, i.e. the word of opening, the word of command, and the word of closing and sealing. Tourney's flask is rumored to imprison one of the following: a great devil, a groaning spirit, a major demon, a night hag, a Nicodemon, or Nicodemon. It is generally conceded that the servant of the flask can be loosed only to perform evil deeds, and it must always kill before it can be commanded to return to its prison. In addition to the servant, the flask has the following powers and effects: 3 times 1, 1 times 3, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. Crazy. Jacinth of inestimable beauty. It is said that the finest corundum gem from the heart of the largest mountain was taken and fashioned by the gods themselves to form the jacinth of inestimable beauty. This huge, priceless, fiery orange jewel is indescribably beautiful and exquisitely cut in dozens of facets, which shoot forth brilliant beams, and all who see it within 20 feet or less must savor its magic or be charmed by it. Legend relates that Jacinth was possessed by the fabled Sultan Yahef Herein for a time, and then passed into the land of Ket and southward into Kaoland, see the world of Greyhawk, where all trace disappeared. When the possessor firmly grasps this lustrous orange gem, the following powers or effects are gained. 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. Joidy's Mask. The High Priestess Joidy supposedly tricked the powers of evil into making this strange artifact, and then wisely used it to overthrow their hold upon her nation. The mask completely covers the wearer's face and enables him or her to assume the likeness of any human or human-like creature. It also prevents all forms of mind contact, detection, or attack. Joidy's Mask is rumored to give the wearer total immunity to all gaze attacks, basilisk, catoblepos, Medusa, etc. And the following powers effects: 2 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 6. Kuroth's Quill. There can be but little dispute that the master thief Kuroth was the most successful of his profession, and several sages attribute his performance to the acquisition of a writing instrument of unknown antiquity, which now bears Kuroth's name. This quill reportedly draws and writes infallibly upon command, depicting whatever its possessor seeks or speaks accordingly. It also is supposed to be able to find treasure, as a potion of treasure finding, 1 time per month. These powers and effects are attributed to it as well. 2 times 1, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 6. Mace of Cuthbert. This weapon is said to be that actually used by the venerable Saint Cuthbert of the Cudgel, when he demonstrated the folly of error to the unbeliever. Over the decades since then, holy relics of the saint himself have been encased with the mace to give this arm of lawful good a +5 bonus for both hitting and damage, as well as disruption effects. Only clerics with 18 strength of lawful good alignment are able to wield this weapon and gain these other powers or effects. 3 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 6. These are so much fun. Machine of Lum the Mad. Perhaps the strange device was built by gods long forgotten and survived the eons since their passing, for it is incredibly ancient and of workmanship unlike anything known today. The machine was used by Baron Lum to build an empire, but what has since become of this ponderous mechanism, none can say. Legends report that it has 60 levers, 40 dials, and 20 switches, but only about one half still function. Singly or in combination, these controls will generate all sorts of powers and effects. The machine is delicate, intricate, bulky, and very heavy, 5,500 pounds. It cannot be moved normally, and any serious jolt will set off and then destroy 1 to 4 functions of the artifact, which can never be restored. It has a booth of a size suitable for 4 man-sized creatures, 4 feet by 5 feet by 7 feet, to stand inside. And if a creature or object is placed therein, and the machine controls are worked, something might happen. You must matrix the 60 levers, 40 dials, and 20 switches, showing which will perform functions. You may opt to include powers and or effects of your own devising. 15 times 1, 15 times 2, 10 times 3, 10 times 4, 15 times 5, and 5 times 6. Yeah, I'm not going to be matrixing out 60 levers, 40 dials, and 20 switches. That's just not going to happen. Mighty Servant of Luke O. Those who are most knowledgeable regarding ancient artifacts believe that this device is of the same manufacturer as the Machine of Lum. The mighty servant of the famous General Luke O is a towering automaton of crystal, unknown metals, and strange fibrous materials. It is over 9 feet tall, 6 feet deep, and some 4.5 feet wide. Inside is a compartment suitable for holding 2 man-sized creatures, and there is space for 4 to 5 others to sit outside. If the possessor knows the proper command phrases, he or she can use the mighty servant as a transportation mode, magical attack device, or fighting machine. It is armor class -1 and can withstand 60 hit points of damage. Note all weapons do only 50% of normal damage rounded down. The Mighty Servant regenerates, self-repairs, 2 points of damage per round. Its magic resistance is 100%. Acid, cold, fire, heat, vacuum, and or water have no effect on the device. Electrical or lightning attacks cause only 20% normal damage, round down, even if the servant fails the magic resistance check. The Mighty Servant moves at a... How... If its magic resistance is 100%, how can it fail it? The Mighty Servant moves at a maximum speed of 3 inches. After each 12 hours of operation, it must rest or recharge itself for 1 hour. Any intelligent viewer viewing it... Hold on. Viewer within 12 inches must save versus magic, +2 on the die roll, or flee in panic. It can attack but 1 time per round, and it has a base 15% chance to hit an opponent regardless of its armor class. Opponents with intelligence and a dexterity of 15 or better reduce the base chance by 2.5% per 1 point of dexterity above 14. A hit of the Mighty Servant causes 10 to 100 hit points of damage. Oh my gosh. In addition, the Mighty Servant of Luke O has these powers and effects. 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 1 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 6. Effects are triggered by major power use. The Mighty Servant will obey those humans who learn its secrets of automation and control. That's wild, man. I wonder what I didn't get an indication of what type of attack it did. Just that it does attack. Is it like a force beam? Is it like Rock'em Sock'em Robots? You know? It's like Hungry Hippos. It just like slams down on them. All right. Next up, Orb of Dragonkind. It is written that when certain of the good deities conspired to devise means to easily control the evil dragons plaguing mankind, demon servants of evil changed the magical forces involved so as to include all of dragonkind, and then caused the orbs fashioned to have inimical properties as well. In all, 8 globes of carven white jade were made, one for each age of in a dragon's lifespan. The smallest is about 3 inches in diameter. The largest is about 10 inches across. Each is covered with a bas reliefs of entwined dragons of all sorts, the whole being of incredible hardness and somehow imprisoning the very essence of all dragons. The 8 different orbs are: 1. Orb of the Hatchling. The possessor of the device is empowered to charm any very young dragon. The orb has an intelligence of 9 and an ego of 9, and if this combination equals or exceeds the combined intelligence and wisdom of its possessor, the orb will control him or her and surely slay him or her. The orb has these powers, 3 times 1. 2. Orb of the Wormkin. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any young dragon. The orb has an intelligence of 10 and an ego of 10, and if this combination equals or exceeds the combined intelligence and wisdom of its possessor, the orb will control him or her and cause the character's demise as speedily as possible. The orb has these powers, 2 times 1, 1 times 2. Orb of the Dragonette. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any subadult dragon. The orb has an intelligence of 11 and an ego of 11, and if this combination equals or exceeds the combined intelligence and wisdom of its possessor, the orb will control him or her and bring death as rapidly as possible to the individual. The orb has these powers and effects: 3 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3. 4. Orb of the Dragon. The possessor of the device is empowered to charm any young adult dragon. The orb has an intelligence of 12 and an ego of 12, and if this combination equals or exceeds the combined intelligence and wisdom of its possessor, the orb will control the character and cause his or her death as speedily as it can. The orb has these powers and effects: 4 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3. 5. The Orb of the Great Serpent. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any adult dragon. It is otherwise the same as others of its ilk, with intelligence and ego of 13 each, and has these powers and effects: 3 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 6. Orb of the Fire Drake is number 6. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any old dragon. It is otherwise similar to its fellows, with an intelligence and ego of 14 each, and has the following powers and effects: 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 6. 7. Orb of the Elder Dragon. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any very old dragon. This orb is the same as the others of its type, with intelligence and ego of 16 each, and the following powers and effects: 4 times 1, 3 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. Number 8, which is the last one, Orb of the Eternal Grand Dragon. The possessor of this device is empowered to charm any ancient dragon. Furthermore, its possessor is given a +8 for any saving throws, attacks, and damage he or she may make while contending directly with either Tiamat or Bahamut. The orb is similar to its lesser cousins, having 18 for both intelligence and ego, and the following powers and effects: 4 times 1, 3 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 4, 2 times 5, and 1 times 6. I wonder which one would be considered the dragon orbs in Dragonlance. Notes, and if you have one that controls very old dragons, does it also control all those underneath it, younger than it? That's an interesting thing. I'll have to check out that article. Notes regarding orbs of dragonkind. All of these orbs have a strong component of evil, and a neutral or good character will have to save versus magic to resist charming a neutral good dragon. Charm range is 5 inches and requires 1 full round with the subject fully awake and aware of the character. Because of the original purpose, only evil dragons are automatically charmed. Neutral dragons save at -4 on their die. Good dragons at -2. Charmed characters can be considered as possessing 50% of their normal wisdom with respect to an orb of dragonkind. Any possessor with feeble mind affecting him or her or insane will have 3 intelligence or 50% of normal, respectively. The orb can control only an active and awake mind. Destruction of a character will typically be by sacrifice to a dragon if one is at hand, otherwise by the most sure and expeditious method. Orb of Might. For the legendary source of the 3 orbs of might, see the foregoing Crown of Might. Each orb has an ethic alignment determined as follows. Dice roll 1 to 20 of evil, good, or neutrality. If a character of another ethos touches an orb differently from his or hers, a saving throw versus magic must be made to avoid death, and from 2 to 24 hit points of damage will be taken if the save is successful. If the character so touching an orb also possesses a crown and or scepter, surviving the saving throw versus magic will invoke a malevolent effect from table 4. Each orb is of platinum encrusted with gems and topped with a device of precious metals and stones, so as to be worth 100,000 or more gold pieces on the open market. Each orb is equal to a gem of brightness and also has the following powers and effects: 2 times 1, 1 times 3. For additional powers in combination with other items of regalia, see Crown of Might. Queen Elisa's Marvelous Nightingale. The origin of this artifact is unknown, although the mage Mordenkainen is reported to have asserted that the nightingale was made by Zagi and the goddess of volcanic activity, Jurami, some 17 centuries ago. Queen Elissa bent all to her will with the enchantments of the device, and throughout her reign of several centuries, the nightingale never escaped its confinement. This bejeweled songbird seems to actually spring to life when its mechanism is activated. The creature is held within a fine mesh of gold wires, much like the cage of a real bird, and when set in motion, the nightingale opens its glittering wings, hops to the highest perch in the cage, and performs. It is rumored that the eyes of the artifact can shoot forth scintillating rays of brilliant color, each color having a different effect. Its songs likewise are able to work magical wonders, and if the rays and songs are directed in combination, highly powerful spells are supposedly woven. It is known that the device throws forth a protective sphere, preventing detection or magical or psionic intrusion in a 30-foot radius. Those within its sphere are reported to neither hunger nor thirst, as long as they remain within. The Marvelous Nightingale also has these powers and effects: 4 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. Recorder of Yesind. This most magical wind instrument needs no musician to play upon it, for the recorder itself can play the most complicated of airs upon command. It will always sound an alarm if anything belonging to its possessor, including itself, is stolen within 30 feet of it, and the recorder is also able to give information through music to its possessor by playing certain tunes and songs with clue words in their lyrics if the character desires information of what has taken place within 30 feet of the instrument. It is also rumored that the device can communicate with other information as well as casting certain spells by means of its notes. Its other powers and effects are 5 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. We all learned to play the recorder of Ye Sinned in middle school, right? Ring of Gax. This piece of jewelry is of totally alien origin. For while its loop appears to be of platinum and its stone a very fine spinel, examined by the most astute dwarf or expert jeweler will discover the workmanship to be unique and the gem of unknown type. The ring of Gax must be placed on a finger in order to discover its powers. Its wearer can turn the 9-faceted gem set in the ring, and each facing of the gem gives a different power or effect when it is faced towards the top, the finger end, of the ring. Note, however, that the stone will turn by itself whenever the ring is taken off, put on, or its wearer is asleep. Therefore, each day the ring is used, a random facet facing must be determined secretly by the DM and discovered by the wearer. Of course, once all powers or effects are known to the possessor, knowledge of a single facet facing should enable him or her to determine the order of the other facets and make desired settings. It is absolutely impossible to mark either the ring or the gemstone in any way, so random determination and discovery is totally unavoidable. Even a wish will not help determine which facet is which. The ring has the following powers and effects: 3 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 5, and 1 times 6. That's crazy. Oh, appreciate you calling out the dragon issue. Rod of 7 parts. The Wind Dukes of Aqua are the legendary creators of this artifact. It is said that they constructed the rod to use in the Great Battle of Pesh, where chaos and law contended. There, the rod was shattered and its parts scattered, but the enchantments of the item were such that nothing could actually destroy it. So, if its sections are recovered and put together in the correct order, the possessor will wield a weapon of surpassing power. The 7 parts of the rod are slightly different, the first being the largest in length and diameter, the 7th being the smallest. No single part has any power or effect alone. Singly, each appears to be a short bar or baton, except the 7th, which looks much the same as a short metal wand. The first part of the rod will give its possessor a feeling as to which direction the second part lies in, but only when the character thinks of the section as a fraction of a whole magic item. If the second, third, etc. parts are discovered prior to the first, second, etc., the section will lead only to the next higher number, not a lower one. If an out-of-order section is placed against another part of the rod, first to third, second to sixth, whatever, the higher number piece will teleport away in a random direction from 100 to 1,000 miles away. When fully assembled, the rod of 7 parts is almost 5 feet long. As soon as 3 joining sections are fitted together, the possessor is unable to let go of the rod so as long as he or she lives until all parts are joined. The powers of each part of the rod are cumulative whenever joined, but the full powers shown work only when all parts of the artifact are joined. Although the rod cannot be disassembled by its possessor, each time a prime power is used, there is a 1 in 20, 5% chance, that the whole will fly into its component pieces and teleport 100 to 1,200 miles away in random directions. Assembly powers and effects. Parts 1 and 2, 1 times 3, parts 2 to 3, 1 times 1, parts 3 to 4, 1 times 1, parts 4 to 5, 1 times 4, parts 5 to 6, 1 times 2, parts 6 to 7, 1 times 6. Complete rod powers and effects. 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 5, 2 times 4. If the rod is not assembled in order, the powers or effects are not cumulative. Only the power or effect of the last piece joined will be active. All prior parts being negated, note that, as stated earlier, if the first section is joined to the second, then the second to the third, etc., powers or effects are cumulative, and when the entire rod is assembled, the additional full powers and effects are gained. That's crazy. Crazy. All right, next up. Scepter of Might. For the legendary source of the 3 Scepters of Might, see the foregoing section of Crown of Might. Each scepter has an ethic alignment as follows: 1 to 20, evil, good, or neutrality. The effects of handling a scepter of an ethos not a character's own are the same as those of a crown. Each scepter is wrought of bronze inlaid with silver and many fine gems, with a huge precious stone tipping its 2-foot length, giving the item a value of 150,000 or more gold pieces in the open market. Each scepter functions as a rod of beguiling and has the following powers and effects: 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 6. For additional powers in combination with a crown or orb of the same ethic alignment, see Crown of Might. Sword of Kaz. There is recorded this additional information regarding the Lich Vecna. When Vecna grew in power, he appointed a most evil and ruthless lieutenant to serve as his bodyguard and right hand. This henchman was the Lord Kaz, and for him, Vecna found a weapon of potency, a long and thin flatchet of dull gray metal, a sword of unsurpassed hardness with sharp point, keen edges, and magical properties. For a long time, Kaz faithfully served the Lich, but as his power grew, so did his hubris, for his sword was constantly urging him on, saying that Kaz was now greater than Vecna himself, and with the might of the sword to aid and direct him, Kaz could rule in Vecna's stead. Legend says that the destruction of Vecna was by Kaz and his sword, but at the same time, Vecna wrought his rebellious lieutenant's doom, and the world was made brighter thereby. Although the powers and effects of the sword are only hinted at, there can be little doubt that Kaz became the most renowned swordsman of his age because of it. It is a +6 defender, being double damage against all creatures which are from a plane other than the prime material, but only normal damage when on any plane other than the prime material. This short sword is highly evil and chaotic in alignment, and with its 15 intelligence and 19 ego, it will certainly attempt to control whomever takes it as his or her own. The Sword of Kaz has these powers and effects: 5 times 1, 2 times 2, 1 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, and 1 times 6. Oh, here's a fun one. The Teeth of Dalvernar. If any cleric was more powerful than the renowned Dalvernar, histories do not tell us. The gods themselves gave special powers to him, and these have passed on to others by means of the great relics of Dalvernar, his teeth. Each of his teeth has some power, and if one character managed to gain a full quarter, half, or all of them, other grand benefits accrue. In order to gain the power of one of these teeth, however, the character must place it into his or her mouth, where it will graft itself in the place of a like missing tooth. The teeth can never be removed once so emplaced, short of the demise of its possessor. The powers and effects are, wow, and it goes from tooth number 1 to 32, set 1 through 8 to 25 to 32, and then set of 1 to 16 to 17 to 32 to 1 to 32. And then each of those teeth has a power associated with it. Wow. Powers and effects are cumulative. Next up, Throne of the Gods. It is said that somewhere there is a carven from the heart of a majestic mountain, a massive stone chair, inlaid with mosaics of ivory and precious metals, and set about with gems. A throne upon which certain gods actually sat when they walked the earth. The throne supposedly is within a great cavern, a part of the mountain's core, so as to be immobile and immovable. Anyone daring to seat himself or herself upon the throne is subject to the effects, and may gain benefits from the throne's magic. It is certain, according to fables, that the character will gain a magic item, but in doing so, he or she will also be subject to malevolent effect. The same character cannot again gain any magic item, but he or she can have the throne affect him or her if the proper words and gestures are known and followed. The powers and effects of the Throne of the Gods are 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, and 2 times 6. As DM, you should determine which powers or effects will be activated with the character seated on the throne, grasps either arm, both, or none, and utters a command or asks that the throne gives him or her its power. Wand of Orcus. This ghastly weapon is the property of the demon prince Orcus, but at times it is said that he will allow his wand to pass into the prime material plane in order to wreak chaos and evil upon all living things there. See Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual, Demon Orcus, for information regarding both Orcus and his wand. The wielder of the wand does not have the full death-dealing power of the device, the victim of its blow having a saving throw versus magic to avoid death or annihilation. Gods, godlings, demon lords, greater devils, saints, and demigods are not affected at all, of course. However, the Wand of Orcus confers these other powers and effects upon the user. 4 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 6. We are now at the Artifacts and Relics Powers and Effects tables. I wonder how I'm going to approach this. How about, I'm just going to show it. Because there's a shit ton, I believe, is the proper approach. A proper way of addressing it. So you have Table 1, Minor Benign Powers. Table 2, Major Benign Powers. Table 3, Minor Malevolent Effects. 4, Major Malevolent Effects. 5, Prime Powers. And 6, Side Effects. These were all referenced in all of the artifacts I've already covered. And so when I said 1 times 2, 2 times 3, the times 1 would be referencing minor benign powers. Times 3 would be referencing minor malevolent effects. So that helps you understand the types of powers that each of these artifacts or relics would then hold. But it goes through just tons of stuff, from adding 1 point to possessor's major attribute, to cure light wounds 7 times a week, to mind blank 3 times a day, tongues when held or worn and commanded. And table 2, major benign powers are the effect of like +2 to armor class of possessor or armor class 0, whichever is better. Exercise 1 time per month. Hold animal 1 time per day. True seeing 1 time per day. And then table 3, minor malevolent effects. Acne on possessor's face. That's hilarious. Possessor loses interest in sex. Oh. How dare you? How dare you? What's next? Touch of possessor kills green plants. I believe I already have that. Wow, that's user's sex changes. Gee. Notes regarding minor malevolent effects. These powers should be inflicted upon the possessor of the item after he or she has had the artifact or relic for a period of time, 1 to 4 weeks, or after using major powers of the item. Table 4, major malevolent effects. Body rot is 10% cumulative, likely whenever a primary power is used. Oh my gosh. Geese or quest placed upon the possessor. Item is itself a living sentient being forced to serve, but each usage of a primary power gives 1 to 3% cumulative possibility that the spell will be broken and the being will change the possessor into a like artifact or relic. Kill the possessor. This is crazy. You can lose points of your attributes. And of course, reverse your alignment, receive damage, all sorts of crazy stuff. Wow. User withers and ages 3 to 30 years each time the primary power is used. Woof. Notes regarding major malevolent effects. Malevolent powers operate whenever a major or primary power of the artifact or relic is used, unless operation occurs after a predetermined but low number of uneventful usages of a major or primary power, as stated above, item description or table. Effects can be successive and cumulative. Body rot affects extremities, toes, fingers, ears, nose, lips, eyelids, hands, feet, arms, legs, head, in that order, 1 member per operation. Nothing can prevent the loss or restore the member. Geese or quest fulfillment enables the possessor to act freely until primary power use once again operates this power. Life force freeing and associated entrapment of the possessor's soul will likely free the life force of a player character and restore his or her body if and when another character so uses the item. Where creature types are called for, select power types which would be logically connected to the item, usually foes of its creator or alignment or purpose. Aging 3 to 30 years is done by race life expectancy. The aging cannot be reversed. And then we have the prime powers. All the abilities raised to 18 each. Wow, that would be crazy. Gate spell power, 100% effective once a day. Meteor swarm once a day. That's crazy. Summon 1 each type of elemental, 16 hit die, no need for control. Wow. This is crazy stuff. Time stop of twice normal duration once a week. These are nuts. Vanishing 2 times a day. All right, side effects. Here, these got to be fun. Alignment of possessor permanently changed to that of item. Fumble reaction possible. Lycanthropy inflicted upon the possessor, type according to alignment of item, change to animal form involuntary and 50% likely whenever confronted with an attack by an enemy. Wow. User becomes fantastically strong, but very clumsy. So dexterity is reduced by as many points as strength was increased. Wow. User cannot touch or be touched by any magical metal. Metal simply passes through his or her body as if it did not exist and has no effect. That's crazy. Whenever any power of the item is used, temperature within a 6-inch radius is raised 20 to 50 degrees. This is so much fun. Whenever the prime power is used, the creature friendly to the user within 20 feet, excluding the user, will sustain 5 to 20 hit points of damage. Eek. All right. Those are some crazy tables. That's all I'm saying. Possible destruction means for artifacts or relics. Artifacts and relics are virtually impervious to magical and physical harm, and each may only be destroyed by a single legendary means. Frequently, the supposed destruction is actually a form of nullification or containment of the artifact or relic, but results in this neutralization of its power for vast periods of time. The following table suggests various means that might apply to the destruction of an artifact or relic and is open to additions and alterations by the DM. No artifact or relic should have the same nemesis as another, though the means may be the same, the specifics should vary. It should be kept in mind that the means of destruction are as rare and nearly unattainable as are the artifacts or relics themselves. Actively seeking the destruction of an artifact or relic is tedious, demanding, and fraught with great perils to body and soul, and the chances of surviving the destruction of the artifact or relic are minute without the grace of the gods. The way to destroy a particular artifact and relic is 1. Melt it down in a fiery furnace, pit, mountain, forge, crucible, or kiln in which it was created. Lord of the Rings. 2. Drop it into or bury it beneath 1. The Well of Time. 2. The Abyss. 3. Earth Wound. 4. Adonai's Deep. 5. The Spring of Eternity. 6. Marion's Trench. 7. The Living Stone. 8. Mountain of Thunder. 9. 100 adult dragon skulls. Awesome. 10. The Tree of the Universe. 3. Cause it to be devoured by 1. Cerebus. 2. Lernaриan Hydra. 3. A Titan. 4. An ancient dragon turtle. 4. Cause it to be broken against or by or crushed by 1. Talos, a triple iron golem. 2. The gates of hell. 3. The cornerstone of the world. 4. Artur's dolmen. 5. The juggernaut of the endless labyrinth. 6. The heel of a god. 7. The clashing rocks. Or 8. The foot of a humble ant. What? Is the trick to find a humble ant? I don't know. Number 5, expose it to the penetrating light and flame of 1, the ray of eternal shrinking. 2, the sun. 3, truth. That which is pure will become light. That which is impure will simply wither. Number 6, cause it to be steeped in either the encephalic fluids of the brain of Bahamut, the platinum dragon, or in the black and foul blood of the heart of Tiamat, the chromatic dragon. 7, cause it to be seared by the odious flames of Geryon's destroyed soul, or disintegrate in the putrid ichor of Jublix's deliquescing flesh. What does deliquescing mean? I genuinely do not know. 8, sprinkle it with or baptize it in the 1, well of life, 2, river Styx, 3, river of flame, 4, rather Lathe, the river of forgetfulness. Legended items and regions should be placed by the DM in his or her own milieu in isolated locales, preferably warded by mighty mythical and magical guardians, e.g. the serpent which guarded the golden fleece. Wow, we are on magic items, armor, and shield. As Dungeon Master, you must be fully conversant with the armor gradation system, because prior game forms worked from a high base number 9 upwards. I have opted to follow the same progression herein for the sake of continuity and familiarity. As a shield is a single common factor, it must be given a +1 factor, i.e. be 1 class 5% better than no armor, but listed before the diverse armor types in order to allow its inclusion as a constant without overvaluing it. For each +1 of armor, regardless of the type of armor, the wearer moves upwards toward or beyond armor class 2 to 1, 0, -1, -2, etc. Thus, chainmail +1 is chainmail armor class 5, 1 category better, armor class 4, while a shield +1 is equal to armor class 8 or 2 places better than the armor worn by its inclusion, rather than but 1 +1 for bearing shield, +1 for the magical bonus of the shield. For game purposes, all magical armor should be considered as being virtually weightless, equal to normal clothing, let us assume. This gives characters so clad a base movement speed equal to an unarmored man. Magical shields, however, weigh the same as a normal shield of the same size. Armor of +3 bonus is of special meteorite iron steel. +4 is mithril alloyed steel. +5 is adamantite alloyed steel. Special items are described below. Leather armor +1 is usable by those characters permitted to wear this form of armor. Plate mail of etherealness is seemingly normal +5 armor, but if a command word is spoken, the suit enables its wearer and all non-living items he or she wears and carries to become ethereal, just as if oil of etherealness has been used. While in the ethereal state, the wearer cannot attack material creatures. A phased door spell will negate the ethereal state and prevent the armor from again so functioning for 1 day. There are 20 charges placed upon plate mail of etherealness, and once used, they cannot be replaced or recharged. Furthermore, every 5 uses reduces the class of the armor by 1. So if 5 charges are used to become ethereal, the armor class is +4. If 10 are used, it is +3. +2 if 15 are used, and only +1 if all 20 are exhausted. Plate mail of vulnerability appears to be every test to be magical +1, +2, or +3 armor, but it is actually -2, -3, or -4 cursed plate armor, whose great vulnerability will not be apparent until an enemy successfully strikes a blow in anger with desire and intent to kill its wearer. The armor will fall to pieces whenever an opponent strikes the wearer with an unmodified to-hit score of 20. Shield, large +1, +4 versus magic missiles, is a typical large shield, but it is 4 times more effective against hand-hurled and mechanically propelled missiles of all sorts. More importantly, the shield has a 20% chance of negating magic missile attacks from a frontal position, of course. That's dope. Shield -1 missile attractor not only makes the bearer equivalent to a shieldless person, it also attracts missiles of all sorts to itself. So double or treble the bearer's chances of being selected by random die roll according to the size of the party he or she is in. This cursed shield is not distinguishable from a useful magic item. Note, if you are unfamiliar with medieval armor types, you might find Charles Folk's Armor and Weapons, Oxford 1909, a short and useful text. The armor types I have selected are fitting into a game system. Here is what they substitute. Leather armor is cuir bouilli, consisting of coat, leggings, boot, and gauntlets. Studded leather adds protective plates set in the leather and added extra layers of protection at shoulder area. Ring mail is leather armor sewn with closely set iron rings. Scale mail is a suit of leather armor set with small overlapping iron plates. Chain mail needs no explanation. Banded mail is horizontal strips of articulated armor plates worn over a suit of chain mail. Splint mail is a coat of vertical plates of armor sandwiched within the layers of the garment and worn over chain. Plate mail is a set of pieces of plate, shoulder, breast, back, elbow, groin, hips, legs, worn over chain mail. Plate armor is a late development and is not considered, i.e. the full suit of solid plate used, circa 1500, is not an armor type used, but the reader should be aware that this form of protection was lighter and more mobile than plate mail. It is also 2 or 3 times more costly. I wonder why that's brought up here and not back in the equipment section. Next section is swords, 3G. All magic swords receive their stated bonus both for purpose of hitting, as a bonus to their 2-hit dice, and for damage, as +1, +2, +3, etc., addition to hitting points of damage scored. The special features of listed swords are described below. Thereafter, considerations of unusual aspects of swords are listed, i.e., intelligence, abilities, powers, purpose, alignment, languages, and ego. Finally, the effects of unusual swords are dealt with. Note that the few swords will have any unusual aspects. All +5 Holy Avenger swords are lawful good. All swords of sharpness are of chaotic alignment. All Vorpal weapons are lawfully aligned. Most swords and all daggers of magical nature shed light when drawn from their scabbards. See Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, The Adventure, Light. The sole exceptions are the Flame Tongue, Frost Brand, Holy Avenger, Life Stealing, and Sharpness swords, and these will be dealt with individually. Whenever a sword is Whenever a sword has some unknown quality, such as the wishes in a luck blade or a sword with unusual aspects, you should prepare a special 3x5 index card on it and keep the information handy whenever the possessor of the weapon is playing. Sword +1/+2 versus magic users and enchanted creatures. Gives its +1 bonus always, +2 when employed against magic users, monsters which can cast spells, conjured, created, gated, or summoned creatures. Note that the +2 would not operate against a creature magically empowered by some item to cast spells, such as a ring of spell storing. Sword +1/+3 versus lycanthropes and shape changers. Gives its +1 against were creatures, those able to assume the form of another creature, such as a vampire or a druid, or any creature under the influence of a polymorph or shape change spell. Sword +1/+3 versus regenerating creatures will give the +3 bonus to its wielder even when the regenerating creature does so because of a magical device, such as a ring of regeneration. Sword +1/+4 versus reptiles gives the +4 against such creatures as dinosaurs, dragons, hydras, lizards, snakes, wyverns, etc. Sword +1 flame tongue +2 versus regenerating creatures, +3 versus cold using, inflammable, or avian creatures, +4 versus undead. Sheds light only when its possessor speaks a command word or phrase, and this flame illuminates the area as brightly as a torch. Note that the flame from this torch easily ignites oil, burns webs, or sets fire to paper, parchment, dry wood, etc. Cold-using creatures are those whose attack modes involve cold, ice toads, white dragons, winter wolves, yeti, etc. Sword +1 luck blade gives its possessor +1 in all saving throws and will have from 2 to 5 wishes. You must keep a secret note of the number and their use determined by D4 +1. Sword +2 Giant Slayer has a +3 versus any giant, Etten, ogre, mage, or titan. Against any of the true giants, hill, stone, frost, fire, cloud, storm, the sword does double damage, i.e. 2 to 24 +3 or 5 to 27. Sword +2 Dragon Slayer has a +4 against any sort of true dragon, and against one sort of it will do triple damage, i.e. 3 to 36 +4 or 7 to 40. Note that an unusual sword with intelligence and alignment will not be made to slay dragons of the same alignment. Determine dragon type by random roll, excluding the singular ones, Bahamut and Tiamat. So it's black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, white. Sword +2 9 lives Stealer will always perform as a +2 weapon, but it also has the power to draw the life force from an opponent, and it can do so only a total of 9 times before the ability is lost. A natural 20 must be scored on the wielder's 2-hit die roll for the sword to function. The opponent is entitled to a saving throw versus magic in such case, and if it is successful, the sword does not function, no charges used, and normal damage is determined. Sword +3 Frostbrand +6 versus fire-using dwelling creatures bestows the +6 bonus in a self-explanatory manner. The weapon does not shed any light except when the air temperature is below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, but it does give special benefits against fire, for its wielder is protected as if he or she were wearing a ring of fire resistance, and whenever it is thrust into fires, it has a 50% chance of extinguishing them in a 10-foot radius, including a wall of fire, but excluding a fireball, meteor swarm, or flame strike. All right, that is where we're going to leave it off. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. What do you think of the miscellaneous magic items and relics descriptions? Do you have a favorite relic or magic item discussed? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, producer patron Azrael, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the DragonLance Saga, and I hope you'll join me in the celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar.